Good morning. This is Dr. Shah, Aajay Shah, and we are on Facebook Live today on this Saturday morning. We have a great guest today. We have Moushumi Mukherjee, a registered dietitian with us, and we have 1 full hour pack of lot of nutrition information and what you need to know about healthy weight loss and quick weight loss. So let's welcome Moushumi here. Moushumi, welcome.
Good morning, Dr. Shah, and thank you for inviting me. I absolutely love talking. It's my passion, healthy living, and making people live healthy lives, keeping them away from medications. Those are my goals. So thank you again for inviting me. And yeah, let's get going. I'm super excited, again, all of you who are watching us live, shoot us your questions, and we are, super excited for this. I know Dr. Shah has been doing this now for so many years, and I have been practicing, healthy living too now for multiple years, and I think it's both of our passions. So here we are.
That's great. So let me give you 1 minute on Moushumi. I know Moushumi for the last 25 years, a great registered dietitian. She has helped many Americans, many Indians to reverse their chronic diseases. She's very good at making things simple. She herself follows a very healthy lifestyle. So I think we have a great combination in Moushumi of somebody who follows what she talks. So let's see what we start with the first question. We have a first question today that what is your typical questions people ask you when they see you as a registered dietitian?
So one of the very common questions that I get asked on a regular basis is, I'm doing, they go, Moushumi, I'm doing everything right, and why am I not losing weight? Why am I still not losing weight? So, and this brings up actually a great discussion point, where people think they are, again, doing everything right, and why am I still not losing the weight? Let's start with saying, I know there's the stigma in the market or outside that dietitians are there only for weight loss, to restrict food and so on. But like Dr. Shah said, I think I have a very realistic approach, and my approach is for sustainable, long-term healthy living. So, I don't believe in just, a quick weight loss and then, going back again on the same road and so on. So anyways, to, go back to the discussion that we were at, a couple pointers is, how they say, number one, calories in, calories out. I do not believe in that math. Okay, simple, couple simple reasons is, not every calorie is exacting. Like, when these high-tech watches or, your different machines you're getting on, right? And they're telling you, oh, you've lost so much. You've burned so many calories. So let's consume so much calories, right? Is the thought process. No, because it is not exacting. So, you want to kind of take your mind away from that math. I've noticed, and again, you know this, I work on multiple clients a day. And, I've had really good success rate with, weight maintenance, being healthy, if somebody wants to lose weight, they've lost weight. But again, we want to stay away from the number game. I think we really, especially here in this country, we are so geared at numbers, getting up on that scale every single day, that we forget, the reality check of it is, again, calories in is not calories out.
I think I absolutely agree. Matter of fact, when we look at the calorie in, calorie out model in a lab, in a machine, it works because you put 500 calories in, it burns 500 calories. So I think it works in a machine, but our body is not a machine. Our body is a combination of many hormonal changes, many daily diurnal changes.
Right.
For example, if you eat 500 calories of a donut, versus if you eat a finer calories of salad, there will be a different body response in terms of insulin spike
Absolutely.
and many other hormonal changes. And then when the insulin spikes, it obviously stores more fat. So calorie is not a calorie. What kind of calories you eat matters. And obviously
Quality.
Quality of calories is a very important thing.
Yeah.
So we have already about 30 people watching. That's a great start.
Yay.
I have a very important question, because I also have a similar question every day when I eat. How many are nuts good for us, and how much nuts we should eat?
So nuts definitely are, good for us. Two reasons. One is they're a wonderful source of protein, and they're a great source of fat. And in fact, one of the things I was going to discuss about, is how some of the good fats, they keep you full for a long time. So, nuts, I would definitely, recommend nuts. Portion sizes are important. You don't want to overdo on your portion sizes. And that's, again, we come back to our original question that, like I said, my clients ask me a lot is, why am I not losing the weight? I'll just cite an example. So one of my clients, in fact, yesterday or day before yesterday, I had suggested, for her snacks to do nuts. So here she, and of course, I had her journal portions and so on. So here she's sitting down with, 2 cups of almonds. Now you can't do that. That's, too much in a day. So watching how much, watching what time you're using your nuts is important. I do, in fact, one of my big pet peeves is starting your day with a protein, with a good breakfast, which includes a protein. And so if you ask me, which again is a common question that people ask me, what do you eat for breakfast? Smoothies are one of my favorite things, and I do add a handful. I always say portion control. Portions is about your sizes, and use your hand a lot for portion control. So for me, at a sitting, about 10 to 12 nuts, is what I need, not more than that. So I throw that in my smoothie. And I definitely, like I said, recommend nuts. It's huge. And again, because of the fat content, nuts keep you full for a long time. People might think, oh my gosh, calories, so many calories, but think of it this way, that it's keeping you full for a while. So then you're not yearning for the other things. Versus, what research shows, that high sugar content or high salt, content of foods, they make you crave for more. They do not get you full that long. You tend to eat these snacks much quicker. The processed snacks, we tend to eat those so much quicker. So then, again, you're wanting more and more. So portion control in that is much harder than portion control in wholesome foods like your nuts, your plants, your salads, and things like that. And a very important thing that I also wanted to, let everybody know is that do not, just go with one of these fad diets because a celebrity is doing it or because your friend is doing it. It's not going to work, So what would fit you, Dr. Shah? A diet that might fit you might not fit me. My body size is different. My metabolism is different. I might have some preset conditions, how much I'm exercising, what am I doing, my lifestyle might be a little different. So what works for one might not work for the other. So we are individuals, and individualized meal patterns and lifestyles work for individual people. So Also,
No, I think that's a great answer. I think the way I believe in nuts part is that nuts are very important. Nuts and seeds are both are very important. They provide excellent amount of omega-3. But at the same time, because nuts pack a lot of calories, the calorie density of nuts is almost 1,500 calories per pound. So if you are trying to lose weight, limit your nuts to no more than one, like she said, 1 ounce or one handful, one fistful of nuts. But have nuts every day. Matter of fact, there was a trial done, there was a study done, which was actually sponsored by a nut company, but still it was a well-designed, well-done study where people who ate 150 calories of nut, matter of fact, ate almost 250 calories less in their daytime. So nuts actually can be even a negative caloric thing because you will eat less other calories when you eat small amount of nuts. So nuts, very important, eat every day, small amount. I have a great next question. How big should be my breakfast? And is it true that breakfast should be the most important meal, Moushumi?
Yes, definitely. Like I just said, breakfast, we were talking about smoothies and nuts. Breakfast is a very, very important meal of the day. And you want to kickstart your day with a good breakfast. I have noticed a lot of people as I'm, doing our, healthy living talks or consulting, tend to skip breakfast. Couple of reasons for that. I'm really rushed. I do not have time to eat a, breakfast. I'm just not hungry. So let me tell you, hunger, the pattern of hunger is what you condition your body to. So if you start eating breakfast every single day, you are going to be hungry. Okay. The second thing is, prepping. That's where your meal prep comes in, and that's where huge. I'm like absolutely big on prepping. So if you think of your week's meal, your week's menu, from a week, then you are all set with your breakfast. For example, I'll tell you what I do. I either do my smoothies, and for that, just so I don't get bored, then I add different things, like different bases, different things to my smoothies, or I might do like an like a egg white with veggie, omelet, but something with protein in it, combined, with the fruit and veggie. So, again, even though I've done this for the last 20 years, I still prep. I have to know what my week's going to look like, and so then I prep starting from breakfast to lunch to dinner to snack. I think about it, otherwise there is no way I could, get going because, again, we all, are busy. A lot of us leave early in the morning. Like I sometimes leave at 7:30 in the morning, but I would not leave without breakfast because, again, it, a lot of times your sugar levels are low because, you haven't had anything to eat for the longest time. So you want to make sure your blood sugar levels are coming up with a good breakfast to kickstart your morning and feel that energy. And, another tip, in fact, that I have, I start out my morning with at least 2 to 3 glasses of water. I think in our, thinking of food and calories and all of that, one of the big things we forget is water. And many a times, early in the morning, we are dehydrated. We've gone through the night, you've gone through like 10 hours with no water. So first thing, if you are looking at weight loss, just, again, let's not call it weight loss. If you're looking at being healthy and happy and having that energy levels, where you can, achieve what you want to, your hydration is huge. So start your morning with like 2 to 3 glasses of water, and then then do your breakfast. So yeah, absolutely. I think breakfast is a very, very and wonderful question.
So I think I completely agree. Actually, matter of fact, there are studies done where they fed people 500 calorie breakfast versus 500 calorie in dinner. And people who ate breakfast at the 6 week period, they end up losing more weight. So breakfast actually not only eventually burns more calories, there is like a food caloric burn effect, but if you eat breakfast, plus there is a diurnal variation. For millions of years, humans have been used to eating during the sunlight time, and eating early meals, particularly breakfast and lunch, definitely is much more healthier. Next question, I have a great question here, matter of fact, which I also want to ask Moushumi, is that should we cook with oil? And if that's the case, what type of oil we should use?
Yes, we should, it depends on, if you're able to have steamed vegetables, I definitely salads, you don't need to add an oil. But, if you're cooking with oil, I know the Mediterranean diet was number one, probably most of you know, voted number one, and they do use olive oil. So I think, olive oil, the extra virgin olive oil is a good bet if you had to use an oil for your cooking. I would definitely, again, do we want to limit our oil? Of course. We do not want to do, fried foods. We want to stay away from those kind of things. But what we are looking at are good fats, like your olive oil is good, avocado oil, flaxseed oils. These are some good oils that you can definitely use for your cooking.
I completely agree. Matter of fact, oil, if you look at it, has a caloric density of about 4,000 calories per pound. So it's a most caloric dense food. And oil obviously is one of the most processed food. And as long as we want to avoid processed food, have minimum oil or no oil. I think if you want to use the oil, use an olive oil or canola oil, but use in the smallest amount, particularly if you're trying to lose weight. That's a great answer. So we have a next question actually there's a comment that from Nanette Hebler, that good tip on the water, I agree, drink 2-3 glasses of water every morning. And her question is, how much carbs should we have with each meal?
Like I said, I am not so much a number dietitian, but more of like a, eating mindfully dietitian. I'm about mindset changes. So this is my tip for you. Is, do not think of carb as your main entree. You know how I was raised like that too. So carb is your main entree. And then, you get your vegetables and your fruits on the side. I say make your vegetables your main entree and your carbs your side entree, okay? So if you look at your plate, 1/4 of your plate should be your carbs. Okay, and with each, I am huge on like balancing your meals. So I would do a carb, again, a whole grain, a multi-grain carb with every meal. So say quinoa or brown rice or something. Make sure it's about 1/4 of your plate, and then half of your plate are your veggies, and then the other 1/4 of your plate are your protein. Again, it's an estimate we do here, and it's not like a one cut. If somebody told you it, which people do, like about 40% has to be your carbs. I am not a number girl. I don't think that is sustainable always for long term. What works, I've noticed, for long term is, again, if you notice your plate, your dinner plate, or your breakfast, even your snack, just make sure like only about 1/4 is your carbs. And it's not so much about your carbs, it's about the quality of your carbs, okay? So I will tell you, research shows that if you do multi-grain carbs, or wholesome carbs versus your refined carbs, with multi-grain, you tend to burn 100 calories more versus your, refined carbs. So, what I'm coming at? It's again, like I think you mentioned earlier, Dr. Shah, it's the quality. You could never compare a donut to like, a cup of quinoa. No, calorically, even if they're equal, I would never, there's no comparison. So it's like that.
No, I think I completely agree. Matter of fact, people who live long and healthy, the blue zone people we call them, for example, Okinawa, their diet is actually 70% carb. So I think carb is not the enemy. Matter of
Not
fact,
at all.
it's the type of the carb.
Yes.
If you have a simple sugar, simple carb like white rice, white bread, white pasta, then it's bad. But if you want to live long, eat tons of carb. Matter of fact, tons of carb, but eat in all complex form like vegetables, fruits, whole grain. And if you eat that, you will live long. Matter of fact, I recommend the macro ratio, we call it 70% carb, 20% fat, and 10% protein. So again, carb is not the enemy, it's what type of carb you eat. And if you look at it, if you eat 2,000 calories per day, and if I recommend 70% carb, that's a 1,400 calories of carb. So to answer Nanette's question, 1,400 calories divided by 4, because each gram of carb gives 4 calories. That's about 350 grams of carb per day. So you should be dividing into 3 meals. So about 100 gram of carb per each meal, to answer your question specifically.
Yeah. And you know what? Carbs, other than that, it helps you stabilize your blood sugars. And, the other thing is your body prefers carbs for breaking down energy, so our main energy resource from carbs are great, so definitely don't say no to carbs. Again, it's watching the quality of carbs and how much you want to do at every meal, and again, make sure to have, for the best outcomes, make sure to have carbs at every meal. So definitely.
So we have a next very kind of a new question in a way, which is very current question, I should say. So that if I want to do intermittent fasting, what time I should stop eating and what time I should have the next meal?
So with intermittent fasting, there's a couple different ways people do it. There's the 18-16 rule, 8-16 rule. And in the 8-16 rule, people eat for like 8 hours. And then 16 hours they go without food. So basically, if you are done eating at like your last dinner was at 6:30, then for the next 16 hours you don't eat. And then again, you eat within those 8 hours that, you are allowed to. Some people on intermittent fasting, they do they eat for 5 to 6 days and do a fasting of 1 day. That's another way. So it's different ways that people do the intermittent fasting. I will be honest with you, I have worked with intermittent fasting, and this is where I've noticed some good results. I've noticed a lot of my clients, or people, friends, that are wanting to say lose weight. A big time issue is their nighttime snacks. Okay, so say they've had dinner at 6 or 7, and then you go up you go up to your bedroom, and then you take a bag of, it could be something healthy, even like nuts or whatever, but at that time you're not thinking of those snacks as your calories, but you're consuming them, and that sometimes can really add to calories. So I think calling it a night after a certain time is a good idea. Like, if, again, it depends on what your diagnosis is. If you're diabetic, if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, then not everything, again, that we are saying here works for everybody. But I'm saying in general, you wanna, if you can cut back on the snacking pattern at night, and this is where I kind of like that intermittent fasting rule, because I feel like then you're not taking in as many calories. So again, I've had a couple clients that we worked with intermittent fasting, and it's worked well. So it's
no,
not,
I think I agree. The thing I have to say about intermittent fasting is that if you want to do intermittent fasting, 12 hours window is a very fair window. 12 hours is very doable. That means you don't eat after 7 p.m. and don't eat until 7 a.m. the breakfast. But the most optimal benefits are at 16 hours. If you can stretch that 12 hour to 16 hour, you will get the most benefit. But do minimum 12 hours. Unfortunately, most Americans have actually 6 to 8 hour window. They will have like 11 o'clock at night, a snack or ice cream or a cookie or something, and they will start eating again in the morning by 6 or 7 o'clock. And pretty much unhealthy food all the time. So we used to recommend 5 to 7 meals a day. That concept has been debunked now. Actually, we recommend now maximum 3 to 4 meals per day with having the lightest dinner. So intermittent fasting is very important. Try to do 12 hours minimum. When I grew up in India, our family automatically follow intermittent fasting. My last dinner meal was around 6:30, 7 p.m. I did not have breakfast until next 7:30, 8 a.m. So we always followed 13-hour intermittent fasting. And we were always lean and fit. And so I think since I came to America, evening meals have gotten later and later. For last 2 years, I've been trying to finish my dinner by 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then not have any other calories after that. So try 12-hour. And 16 hours would be ideal.
Yeah, I like your 12 hours. Also, I like the whole 12-hour idea, because, whenever you're setting a goal for yourself, I say go with small, achievable goals versus, like a big goal, like, oh, I'm just going to go into intermittent fasting and do the 16 hours. That might not be achievable. So let's do like 10 hours or 12 hours. Do what your body is able to take. I say you are the best judge for yourself. So if if you feel like your energy levels are good and you're able to work with this, that's perfect. Yeah.
So the next question or comment was, which I agree, but let me read the comment, that if you are taking any seeds or flax seeds or chia seed, should be crushed. And I think the answer is all seeds should be crushed because our GI enzymes don't digest them properly. So flax seeds should be always ground or crushed flax seeds. So I agree with that. That was just a comment, and I agree with that comment.
Yeah. And, now the chia seeds, I take them whole though. Flax seeds, it's proven, you're right, that the ground flax has more, especially with people with GI issues, the ground flax is wonderful, but chia, I take it whole and
There's a very important medical question actually, which I'm hoping we both be able to answer it. The question is, for secondary prevention, what should be the hemoglobin A1C, which is the average of sugar over 3 months on a whole food plant-based diet? They said the comment is about 6.5 A1C for a secondary prevention after a heart attack. So I think I'll ask Moushumi, but I'll try to answer that question as a physician after what Moushumi has to say.
Why don't you answer it? I'll let you as a physician. What do you think?
Again,
and I'll tell you dietary-wise what I'm thinking.
I think as a cardiologist with some interest in diabetes, A1C of 7 is very safe, particularly if you're on insulin. Otherwise, you start to get into an issue about hypoglycemia. So if you're on insulin, aim for 7. At the same time, to be frank with you, if you go on a whole food, plant-based, no oil, no sugar, no salt diet, your A1C will start rapidly getting down. And once you are off insulin, and once you are off certain drugs, which has a potential to cause hypoglycemia, like sulfonylureas and some of the other drugs, you actually can safely keep lowering your A1C as low as 5.7, which becomes a non-diabetic. So as long as you are not on any drug which produces hypoglycemia, you should be lowering your A1C as low as possible. Matter of fact, I have many examples where people have lowered their A1C to 5.5 from 9, and they have enjoyed a great health benefit. So 6.5 A1C recommendation by ADA actually is a slight cop-out because many people are not willing to change their lifestyle. But if you are one of the brave one, if you are one of the disciplined one, and if you approach the lifestyle in 100% way, Don't stop at 6.5. Keep going. Stop at 5.7 A1C and you will enjoy the most benefit. Just make sure you're not on any drugs which can cause hypoglycemia. The reason ADA was 7.0 recommendation because there was a study done in a core trial where there were a lot of unnecessary complications of hypoglycemia. So hypoglycemia is a real thing. If you are on insulin, try to keep your A1C around 7. If you're off insulin, if you're off certain drugs like sulfonylurea, keep going on the A1C. But that's a very important question for all diabetics. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, exactly my thoughts on what you said, yeah.
The next question, which is a kind of a favorite question for Moushumi, I know we've been talked about it, that how do I meal prep and what do I buy while I do grocery shopping? There was another question also and comment that she always does meal prepping, she always does batch cooking. So it's very important, very common question that how do I meal prep, how do I batch cook, and how do I do grocery shopping?
Okay. Yes, so you're right. This is like my favorite thing. I think my, friends, clients, you, Dr. Shah, everybody knows I am like a meal prep person. So a couple things that, come to my mind when meal prepping is going is invest, worth your investment in right size containers. Okay. So if you are, say you're starting today, I would say, go in, start getting some different size glass containers in which you can cut and chop and, work your things around for, meal prepping. Get some mason jars and make sure you have lids. Why? Because, if you are going to be doing your, salads and things like that, mason jars are wonderful way, and I will, just show you a couple, and tell me if you guys can see it, but I know there's a lot of things online, but if you are like a pen and paper kind of person like me, this is, what I suggest, and there's many different forms available, but, something like this that you can, use for meal prepping, for your menu planning for the week. So I will tell you what I do. So Saturday or, typically on a Saturday, I first do my menu plan for the whole week. And then once I've done that, or while I'm doing that, I then have a list. Just give me a second here. Then as I'm doing my meal prep, I start doing my grocery shopping list. So what that does is when you go to the grocery store, you are not just buying random items because they're on sale. You have a list here and you are, ready to go because, you have prepped, in your mind what, you have for menu, as your menu set up. What does that do? One of the bigger complaints I get is, oh my gosh, meal prepping takes time. But you know what? It is actually saving you time in the long run. It's saving you time. It's saving you money. It's saving you your health. You're going to eat healthy. Just like we said, we are rushing in the morning for breakfast because it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Or, you're tired from work and you come back and you're like, what do we eat for dinner tonight? You know what? Let's go and eat out. Or let's just carry something. Yeah. But you have your meal prep. You've done it. And sometimes, not only that, when you've done it and you've cooked in batches, you are saving for the next week. So the next week, when you're meal prepping, you already know you have that chili from last week that you're going to use for lunch this day of the week. So again, I cannot tell you the benefits of meal prepping and, going it's all about organization and organizing how you're going to do your grocery shopping. For grocery shopping, like I always say, go with your tummy full, okay? Don't go when you're like super hungry because then you're going to, it's in your mind, let's pull this and that and so on. If you can go alone or if you're going with a partner, go with somebody who is on the same healthy thinking pattern like you. You know, don't go with somebody who is going to be like, oh, okay, let's pick this and let's pick that and so on. And again, like I said, once you have things prepped, the meal prep done, you are going to go with the list. So you know what's in there. And I would definitely invest in those little, like your 2 ounce, 4 ounce containers or your 6 ounces. You know, cut and chop your vegetables, you know, cut your fruits, even my snacks. I mean, you won't believe that, but I have my snacks packed in Ziploc bags because, you know, otherwise I travel a lot, you know, to see my clients all around. And, you know, I know if I don't have anything and I'm hungry, I might have to stop at a fast food place, which I don't want to. So I definitely, you know, always have my snacks all done too on the go. So, yeah.
I think meal prepping, batch cooking, you know, appropriate grocery shopping is very important thing when you're trying to lose weight. Matter of fact, at our house, Jayashri, my wife, we try to make our smoothies for the whole week. So my suggestion, like Moushumi has suggested many times, if you cannot prep all 21 meals, at least prep 7 meals.
Yeah.
So that way, and typically, like
Absolutely.
Moushumi said, dinners are the one which becomes a major issue because when you come back from work, you are tired, you're not in mood to cook. But if you already have a ready-made meal for the dinner, so if you want to prep any meal for the week, prep the dinners, and you will come home, eat a healthy meal, take your time, enjoy with the family, and that will avoid many restaurant trips, many fast food pickups, and many food which you should avoid. So meal prep is very important. The next question is actually from Sudeep Sen. It says that if somebody is diabetic, should we avoid rice or roti completely?
I don't think you need to avoid rice or roti completely. Again, it depends on the quality and how much of carbs you can have and the quality of carbs. You know, rice, you know, I would say some brown rice is fine. Same with chapatis. You know, again, I would calculate if, you know, if you came to me, I would calculate it based on your body weight, you know, how much you're exercising, and then I would base your carbs on that per meal, you know, how much you can have. But definitely, even with my diabetics that I work with, it's not like, you know, I say absolutely no. In fact, now, you know, the thinking with diabetics is, you know, your multi-grain carbs are good for you as long as you are having it in the right portions. And what is the right portion? The right portion is based again on your body weight, you know, how much you're exercising, your lifestyle. So I would base it on that and then do like, you know, the total amount of carbs you need and break it up and then tell you exactly how much you can have. But yeah, no, you can definitely have carbs as long as the quality is good.
Yeah, I think if you remember, for example, in Japan, 50 years ago, rice was one of the main ingredient in their diet, and diabetes rate was close to be 1%, only 1%. So rice wasn't the one which was causing diabetes. And since Japanese start eating this processed food, processed food, animal products, a lot of oily products, diabetes rate has almost gone up to about 5 or 8% now. So I think rice is not the enemy. Try to eat brown rice, but at the same time, because of arsenic issue, brown rice also has been sometimes kind of frowned upon. I think there's also black rice available, which probably is much
black
more safer.
And red, yeah.
And that black rice probably slightly more expensive. But as a diabetic, I would say go with a small amount of brown rice if you can, or go with a black rice. In terms of roti, I think to me, a complex carb whole wheat roti, maybe 1 to 2 per day, is completely fine being a diabetic. You need carb for your energy, for your glycogen storage,
and for your blood sugar.
for your blood sugars.
Yeah.
So definitely carb is not the enemy. Matter of fact, now we have enough proof that it's the intramyocellular fat. It's a long-term, essentially fat which sits in all the body cells, is the reason people develop insulin resistance.
Yeah.
So if you want to cut anything from your diet, cut the saturated fat and lose weight. That's the best way to control the sugar and best way to control the diabetes, not the cutting the carb.
Yeah, and in fact, I'll interrupt you here and say, and processed processing is where I think is the biggest enemy, not only for diabetics, for everybody. So, stay away from processed, clean eating, even like you said with diabetics, clean eating, whole grain, 1 to 2 chapatis, depending again on your body weight. No, not bad at all. So, yeah.
Next question, which is probably a question in everybody's mind, that Moushumi, what is your favorite healthy treat?
What is my favorite healthy treat? My favorite healthy treat is dark chocolate smoothie.
Yeah.
And when I'm not like a huge sweet person, but every now and then I have this craving for something sweet, and I blend in some frozen fruits, and then I'll throw in I keep some dark chocolate chips at home, and then I'll throw in some of that and some nuts. And that, that's my favorite treat, The other thing is, I do enjoy salty, savory kind of food. So sometimes, I do like the whole grain chips or whatever with, I have a favorite bean dip or with some guac. And that's like my little treat too. I enjoy.
I think it sounds pretty yummy to me. So we're going to have a recipe from Moushumi soon on our page actually. So we'll have that. The next question is, what are some of the, I call them fad diets because they've been becoming very popular, particularly the keto diet, paleo diet. And what do you think of all those fad diets? And many of them have come and gone. But I want to know the expert opinion from Moushumi that what do you think of keto and paleo diet?
Okay, so an example that I give everybody, the hop-on, hop-off buses we take, the tour buses. So to me, these diets are like that, right? So, you do it for some time, you lose weight. You do lose weight because keto or paleo, you are taking away all carbs. So of course you're going to lose so much, and you go down boom like that. And then you're not able to sustain that diet long term, and you gain the weight back. So then, that's why I compare it to a hop on, hop off. And you will not believe this, Dr. Shah. Probably 90% of my clients from last year were like keto failures, because it was hard to sustain it long term. And then, like I said, there is a need for all the macros in our body. There is a need for multigrain carbs. There is a need for good fats. There is a need for protein. We cannot just say no to one segment, just like body functioning. If you, one part of, if something was missing, you couldn't work properly. So to me, that plate is a balanced plate. And so like I said, I do not believe in those fad diets, those kind of diets. I do believe in things like, or things that I work with are, the anti-inflammatory diets. I've had wonderful results with it to control pain and inflammation, great results. Diabetics, work with, a diabetic diet that I call, or, the anti-histamine diet or the FODMAPs, those work. But these are, have you noticed whether it's, keto I know is still going on, but any of the other diets, have they stayed long term? They haven't. And if it was a good diet, it would stay, right?
Matter of fact, I remember when I came to this country, and after that few years, Atkins diet was a very popular diet. There were a lot of books written on it, there were a lot of videos on it, and a lot of people got on the hop-on bus for the Atkins diet. And not only more people died, matter of fact, Dr. Atkins himself died of a heart failure. So his own diet did not work for him. How would it work for anybody else? So keto diet is essentially Atkins diet with the new clothes on. Keto diet is extremely bad in my opinion. I highly discourage it. Most nutrition experts discourage it. Let me tell you what keto diet is. Keto diet is nothing but essentially tons of animal products, tons of saturated fat. It increases your LDL, the bad cholesterol. It will have a much higher heart attack risk. So if you want to lose weight, obviously there are many ways you can lose weight, but many of them are not healthy. For example, smoking will make you lose weight, but you don't smoke to lose weight. Same way, you know, if you go on a starvation, you will lose weight, but you don't go on starvation.
No.
Same way, keto diet, you will lose weight short term, but obviously it's not healthy. And I tell my patients that the main goal for all of us is to be healthy, not lose weight. Losing weight is a marketing hype. People want to recommend that because you can watch it every day, but it's not the losing weight as a main goal. It's getting healthier is the main goal. So don't focus on losing weight, focus on getting healthier.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Weight is just a number, guys. Weight is just a number, okay? And not, again, you know, it is not something that's going to sustain or stay with you. You know, you want to be healthy. You want to feel like your energy is up there. You know, you want to be physically and mentally happy. So again, you know, it's the whole spectrum that you look at, and not just, you know, one number does not define you. So absolutely, yes.
Next question, I think, which is my pet question, I really love it, is what are the benefits of whole food plant-based diet, and what are the things you can gain from avoiding all animal products, including all meat, fish, and dairy?
I'll let you, oh my gosh, you are the expert here. So Dr. Shah has been following this diet now for how long?
For at least 3 years.
Yes.
Let me start with why you should not eat animal products. Obviously, animal products should be avoided 100%. That's not possible for many of us. At the same time, people who live long, like in blue zones, like I said earlier, animal products are about 10%. So what does animal products do? Animal products, for example, processed meat like bologna, salami, bacon, they're class 1 carcinogen in terms of colon cancer. Carcinogen, as bad as smoking. Red meat is class 2 carcinogen. Eggs definitely can increase the risk of diabetes. Animal protein increases your IGF-1 level, and that can also promote many cancers. Most of the animal products, the protein is packed with a lot of saturated fat, cholesterol, and absolutely has no fiber. So animal products in general should be avoided. At the same time, we all enjoy animal products. Like I grew up having dairy products. So 100% avoiding animal products probably is impossible for most Americans. So you should gradually lower animal products in your diet. I call it have one meatless meal per day or have meatless Monday. That's a good way to start it.
Yes.
If you want to go on a whole food plant-based diet, start with at least 2 meals and definitely avoid processed food. If you look at the American diet, I call SAD diet. Truly, it's a SAD diet, standard American diet. 65% of food in our own diet in America is processed food. 25% of the diet is from animal products. And unfortunately, only 10% calories come from plant-based food. And do you know what? The 2 top plant-based food in American diet is French fries and ketchup. So when we said that we eat plant-based food, we truly don't eat the whole food plant-based diet. Matter of fact, in India, where people are a lot of vegetarian and some of them are vegan, heart disease is getting up because I call them dirty vegans. They have a lot of processed food. They eat a lot of chavanu and a lot of save and a lot of other oily fried processed food. So if you want to be vegan, be a whole food plant-based vegan. Have 90% calories from whole food, plant-based, no processed food. Avoid the oil as much as you can, but if you want to have oil, only have olive oil and canola oil, because we also talked about some of the vegetable oils like sunflower oil and cotton oil and other oils. Those all oil have higher amount of omega-6, and you need to have a proper balance and proper ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. In America, omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is almost 15 to 20 to 1, and it should be ideally 3 to 1. So lower your vegetable oils or not use it at all. Increase your omega-3, which would be flaxseed, seeds, and nuts. So again, I'm a big proponent of whole food, plant-based, no oil diet. There was another question on our Facebook on Sandeep Sen that should we avoid ghee and butter? to answer that, all dairy is bad for you in general. Ghee is nothing but a clarified butter, has a tons of saturated fat. Same with butter itself. So I would avoid both, particularly if you have heart disease. There is no reason to take any dairy. If you want to use milk, our home now is using soy milk and almond milk, which makes as good of an Indian tea as a regular milk. So try it. I bet you will love it.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I say about plant proteins, Dr. Shah, I'm like, if you want, because people go, oh, it's not, a complete protein. So, if you want a protein, or if you're having a plant protein, the advantages are not only are you having a protein, you're getting your phytonutrients, you're getting most of them are high in fiber, which you're not going to get with your meats, So, again, Dr. Shah's following it. I, do it quite a few times a week, 3 to 4 times, we do a plant-based diet, and, 1 to 2 times we do some fish. But, basically what I'm coming at is that plant proteins pack a lot of other things which you will not get with your animal proteins. And that's why it's very important, for weight loss, feeling healthy. I can almost promise you that you'll feel like your energy levels are so much higher, even if you change your diet. Like Dr. Shah recommended, do your meatless Mondays, or pick a day of the week. Start with that, increase it to 2 times a week, then to 3 times, and see how you're feeling. Again, you have to experience it to feel the advantages that a plant, again, make sure it's a wholesome. A plant-based diet or any diet, with processing in it is no good for you. So definitely work on a wholesome diet. That's more important. So
I think there is another burning question from all of us, particularly the Americans, I call them, because it says that how much protein we should use and what type of protein we should use.
I think I'll just kind of continue with what we just said. Is I'm a big proponent of plant proteins. Other than that, I say for your protein sources, wonderful protein sources are your lentils, your beans. Soy protein is great too. Fish, you can do some fish for your omegas. And, I would stay away from your red meats as much as you can. And again, I'm using the plate method, guys, because I want it to be practical. I want it to be what works, okay? So unlike how the plate used to look before, where half, I've noticed, for most people, half of the plates were the proteins, okay? It doesn't have to be like that. Half of your plate needs to be your veggies, okay? And only a quarter needs to be your protein. So which is about 3 to 4 ounces, okay? Again, I like to use my fist to show you, if you're a meat eater, then that much. If you're doing your beans, like your black beans or, your garbanzos or anything like that, a cup of that is great. But keep in mind, again, if you're doing your beans, for your protein, you're getting I cannot even speak about how wholesome and how much of added things you're getting along with the protein. So again, that's how we measure our protein. Until and unless, you're an athlete, again, there are some, always keep in mind, guys, there are exceptions to the rule. So one cut does not fit everybody, but in general, I'd say like a quarter or about 3 to 4 ounces,
So again,
protein.
I think when it comes down to protein, I have very strong kind of reservations. For average male requires about 60 gram of protein. An average female requires about 50 to 55 gram of protein. In America, most of us, not myself, most of us eat about twice to thrice, 3 times. When you go to your personal trainer, first thing he says, increase your protein intake. That's a wrong recommendation. Matter of fact, there's enough proof, enough studies that people who eat a lot of protein die early. particularly animal protein. So animal protein, like I've seen a fad of going on a branch chain amino acids. It's a fad. It's going to hurt you more than help you. Branch chain amino acids have a lot of sulfur containing amino acids. That's going to leach your bones and it will cause more osteoporosis. So definitely protein powders with branch chain amino acids is not healthy either. So again, most of us eat a lot of protein. At the same time, to be honest with you, plant-based food gives you enough protein if you have a balanced meal. As long as you're having all different type of plant-based meals, you'll have all the essential amino acids. For example, if you eat 100 calories, not 100 grams, if you eat 100 calories of broccoli versus 100 calories of red meat, you will get more protein from 100 calories of broccoli, because red meat 100 calories, a lot of it's a saturated fat. So protein part in the red meat is much lower than the protein part in a green vegetable. So if you don't have enough protein, eat lots of vegetables. And obviously any protein from animal products, like Moushumi said, doesn't have any fiber. Animal products have zero fiber, doesn't have any phytonutrients or phytochemicals, doesn't have many micronutrients. So if you want to have protein, have it from plant-based protein.
And even your seeds, Dr. Shah, like, just giving an example, just 1 ounce, guys, this is just 1 ounce of pumpkin seeds give you 9 grams of protein. 1 ounce of soy nuts, give you 12 grams of protein. I mean, just compare that to how, you're comparing with your animal protein. So just that much is giving you a lot of protein. So again, I feel like, the nuts, seeds, your plants can definitely give you the protein you need.
So we have a last question here, which is very important question, because I think that's dear to my profession. That's what I do every day. And the question is, how much fat should we eat daily to avoid the heart disease?
I'll let you go for that.
So again, that's a kind of a loaded question, because I think, like I said earlier, that our diet should be 20% fat. And out of 20%, most of it should be mono and polyunsaturated fat. So in terms of saturated fat itself, which is typically vegetables, oils, animal products, and other things, should be, if you want to really be strict about it, should be less than 10 grams per day of saturated fat. That's a recommendation from American Heart Association for a person who already had a heart attack. So if you don't want to have a heart attack or heart disease, eat less than 10 gram of saturated fat. If you eat poly and monosaturated fat, which is typically from seeds and nuts, you can have up to about 20% of your calories. And obviously some of us, unfortunately, cannot follow that strict diet. And if that's the case, if your LDL, the bad cholesterol, is high, there's nothing wrong taking a statin. I'm obviously not against statin. At the same time, I prescribe while I get the person on a whole food, plant-based, low saturated diet. So if your doctor prescribes statin, don't be against it. Use it as a transition medicine. As you lose weight, as you eat healthier, eventually you will go off statin. I promise that. So let's eat healthy. Let's thank Moushumi today for coming. We had a great hour, great questions, great crowd. And we will do this thing every 2 to 3 months. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Live healthy, everybody.